the business that we're in is a good business. Is outdoor power equipment a good business to be in? I was telling Blair when I came in this morning, I said, a lot of people talk about it being a bad business, but I said, if I were 20 years younger, so if I was 40, I would take a $500,000 today and I would open an outdoor power equipment dealership, and I know right exactly in Kansas City where I put it in. Why? Because it's a phenomenal business to be in today. It's better today than it's ever been. Anybody know why? Well, let me give you some numbers. Back in the mid-'80s, is everybody in here Briggs certified in your shops? Okay. I always use Briggs as a standard because most outdoor power equipment dealerships have a Briggs certified thing. So Briggs is kind of a good measurement of where things are at in the industry. In the mid-'80s, there were over 38,000 certified Briggs dealers in North America. Okay, so think about that. Over 38,000. 2 years ago, anybody have any idea how many there were?
8,000.
A little more than that. Not a lot more than that. Okay, a little over 13. So 2 years ago, there were a little over 13,000 registered Briggs dealers in North America, Canada, and the U.S. So we went from 38,000 down to about 13,000. Is that a good or a bad thing?
Good.
Why would you say that's good?
Less competition.
There you go. How many people in here, remember we talked about capitalism and competition? Okay, so what percentage of your competition went away over the last 20 years? Almost 60% of it. So there's 60% less competition today than there were 20 years ago. Are there more people that have yards today than there were? Is there more equipment purchased today than there's ever been purchased? Absolutely. I tell people, so you're in a business today where there's less competition than there's ever been, and there's more what? Demand for your what? So tell me this is not a good business to be in. The thing is we got to figure out how to do what? Make what? Make money. So let's get started and talk about it. The number one thing we got to figure out is how do we, let me get this turned on here real quick. Do we understand why we're in business? When I go into dealerships, and that's the bulk of what I do a lot of speaking for the first 2 months of the year, but basically the rest of the year I'm in dealerships, working in the service departments and parts departments in jeans and steel-toe boots, and that's what we do as a company. We do about 100 dealers a year, turnarounds on shops and parts departments. Dealers have me come in a little first because they want me to do an evaluation of their dealership, and so we call it a diagnostic visit. When I come in, we look at the dealership and the whole aspect of the dealership, but I always end up asking the owners, because the owners are the ones that call me in. I say, why are you in business? And I was just down in Somerset, Kentucky here about 3 weeks ago, and I had 2 owners that called me in down there. And when I came in on the morning, we sat down in their office, and the one guy's name was Dan. And I said, Dan, why are you here? And he says, first of all, Bob, let me tell you why you're here. He said, we don't really want you to fix stuff. We want you to tell us how we can sell this business. We've been in it 20 years. We're tired of it. We haven't made any money. And we want you to tell us how we can appraise and value our business. So I prior to me coming in, they'd send me their financials and stuff like that. And I said, unfortunately for you, your business is worth nothing. So if you've got me here to tell you that your business has value, I said, I would never recommend anybody buy your business. It doesn't have any cash flow. You guys are taking out $26,000 a year apiece as owners. You got $2.5 million worth of business that you do, and you're only taking out $26,000 a year apiece. You're tired of the business. You're broken down. You've had it. It's worth nothing. So I said to them, so here's the question I'm going to ask you. I can either help you over the next 2 years make your business worth something so you can sell it, or I can help you make your business like what you originally planned it to be, like your 401k plan. So all it does every day is throw off $100 bills for you to take home so you don't have to run it anymore. So you tell me which of those two you want me to do. Because think about it, and at lunchtime, when we go to lunch, you're going to have to give me an answer because it's going to be one of those two, and it's not the same from that standpoint. So we went through the whole dealership and whatever, but one of the questions I said is why are you in business? I said, why are you in business? And I'm going to ask you that question. Why does business... And by the way, they decided they wanted to turn it into their 401k plan, so that's what we're working on with them now. It's to get them out of it so they don't have to be in it all the time. See, they thought they had to be in their business all the time to make it work. McDonald's doesn't. Ray Kroc wasn't in all of his 30,000 stores. Would you agree? Okay, so I tell you, if Ray Kroc can make 30,000 stores work, why can't we make one? All right, and so we're going to talk about that. But ultimately, they came back to that. But I asked them the question I'm going to ask you. Why does business exist? What is the purpose of business? Why does a business exist? What do you think?
Generate income.
Is that true?
It's to fulfill a need.
Fulfill a need? Okay.
Make a profit.
Generate income, make a profit. Everybody in agreement with that? How about to do good work in the community? Yeah. How about to have satisfied customers? I don't care. How about to employ more people? Don't want to. What's the biggest headache you ever have in your business? Why in God's name would you want to add another one? How many people would agree with that? How many people in here would agree? If I could show you how to make your dealership work without having any customers, how many people would like to have know more about that? I never find it, I always find it fascinating. Everybody goes, oh dear God, Bob, tell us now. Okay, if I could show you how to make your dealership work with no customers and you can eliminate all your employees, how many people would even want to know more about that? So I tell people again, we don't want more employees in our business. I tell you, one of the problems most dealerships have that I go in, you got too many. Most shops have too many technicians. Most shops, most parts departments have too many people that are dealing with parts. You don't need more people, that's your problem. I tell people the biggest mistake that business owners make is you believe that people are your solution to your problems. Your problems are not people, your problems are process. You don't have any process for anything. And I tell people again, now we're going to talk about that today. People are the last thing you want to add to your business. Why? Well, let me ask you a question. How difficult is it to get rid of a body? Ask anybody that's ever killed somebody, what's the most difficult thing to get rid of? What's the most, ask anybody that's killed anybody, Jim, what's the hardest thing to get rid of?
Get rid of the body.
To get rid of the body, all right. All right, so let's take a lesson from that. So if that's true, and I believe it is, all right, so what's the last thing we want to add to our business?
Another body.
Because why? Because everybody that kills people say the most difficult thing to get rid of is what? Would you all agree? So I tell people again, so you're going to hear me talk about it over the next 4 hours. It's not about adding more people. It's not about adding more overhead. It's not about spending more money. The other thing is people have convinced you that if you spend more money, you will make more money. That's not true. It's not true. You don't have to spend more money to make more money. You're already spending plenty. You're just not spending it right. You're not putting it in the right spots to make it work for you. The last thing you need to do is spend more money on marketing. I can't tell you how many times guys come back from manufacturers and say, oh, Bob, they tell me I need to spend more money in marketing. You're spending more than you need now. You're just not spending it right. It's not about spending more. It's a matter of doing what? Spending it correctly so that you get a what? A result that helps you make what? Money. How much more money do we want to make?
Lots.
All right, I'm going to teach you a term that every one of my dealers that's ever been with me embraces. We want to make, in our business, how much money? Okay, obscene amounts. You see that? Let it roll off your tongue. Okay, we're in business to make what?
Obscene.
Oh, obscene amounts. I tell people, I have had money and I have not had money. Guess what is better? To have money. All right. I've had a little bit of money and I've been blessed to have a lot of money, and for some odd reason, it seems to be better to have a what? A lot. So I tell people again, if we're going to put up with the pain and the agony and the frustration we have to put up with business, then, dear Lord, make sure we're making what? Obscene amounts of money. As long as it's not, this is what I tell every one of my dealers, as long as it's not illegal, immoral, unethical, or life-threatening. Your job in business is to create a business that throws off $100 bills on everything it does. And I tell my dealers, if we're doing something and it's not throwing off $100 bills, we're either going to fix it so that it does, or we're going to stop doing it. It's that simple. Because business is about making what? How much? Obscene amounts of money. Obscene amounts of money. All right, now, is everybody okay with that? As long as it's not what? Illegal, immoral, unethical, or life-threatening. I had a person, I was up in the East Coast here a few weeks ago doing a group of meetings with dealers. And I had a guy say, well, what about Bernie Madoff? He was about making money. And I said, yeah, but look, it was what? Illegal, immoral, what? Unethical, and his son killed himself, right? His son shot himself because of it. So I said, so he made money, but he didn't follow my four basic premises that it's got to be what? It can't be illegal, immoral, unethical, or life-threatening. So outside of that, well, we're in here to make what? Money. Now, how many people do we have in here that are not owners but are employees for the business? All right, now let me ask you a question. So if you work for a dealer who's in business to make obscene amounts of money, what's your name?
Clem.
Clint. Why are you an employee in the business?
I want to make obscene.
God bless you, my son. It normally takes me 3 minutes to get somebody to finally say to me, I've seen him. I go, that's it. I had a guy the other day, he was in a meeting, and I went around to this group, very similar to you guys, and it was like, well, to help the owner make money. I go, no, that's not it. They go, oh, to make customers satisfied. And I said, we don't care about satisfied customers. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the program, because you guys are all fascinated and focused on satisfied customers. I don't care about satisfied customers. We're here to make what? And I think everybody's going like, oh dear Lord. Everything I've ever been taught is now being turned upside down. I'm going to share with you why we don't care about satisfied customers a little bit later in the program. But ultimately, this one guy, this young man, kind of like you, he finally said, I'm here to get a paycheck. And every owner looked around and glared at this young man. And he go, and you could just go like, yeah, that's the problem with my employees. They're just here to get a paycheck. And I told the young man, I said, that's right. And everybody that was an owner went, what? What? I said, of course. Everybody that works for you here is to make what? Get a what? Paycheck. Is there anything wrong with that? No. We want them to do what? Get a paycheck. How big a paycheck? Obscene. Right? Because if I'm making obscene amounts of money and they're making obscene amounts of money, what happens in my dealership? We grow. I don't want my service technicians to be the lowest paid technicians. Every shop I have, my service techs are the highest paid technicians. I want the highest paid techs. I want the highest paid service manager. I want the highest paid parts manager. I want the highest paid salespeople. I want the highest paid office staff. Why? Why?
Loyalty.
Well, maybe a little bit of loyalty. Loyalty doesn't buy money, and more money doesn't buy better quality work. That's the other thing I want you to understand. You can't pay more people more money and expect their work to improve. It doesn't. We have bonus programs. Everything in our dealerships are tied to performance bonuses, service parts, whole goods, office. It's all tied together. So if you want to make more money, you always can make more money, but we all have to do what? The dealership has to do what? It has to improve. So the dealership is making more money. Once the dealership makes more money, then you get to make more money. But you always know exactly what you have to do to make more money. So it's never a secret. You don't ever have to come in my dealerships and ask for a raise. It's already built in. If our dealership's doing good and we're making money, you always know every week how much more money you've made. So I tell people again, so that's what we do in our dealerships. I don't keep it a secret because everybody's there to make what? More money. I tell all my owners, I say, we got to share this knowledge with people. We are all here to do it. And I had a guy say, well, it keeps people. I said, I can't necessarily keep people. I might have Jim be one of my best people. And Jim is making a lot of money with me, but Jim on Sunday was online. He was looking up, and all of a sudden he came across an ad that says, we are looking for hunting guides in Montreal. And Jim may have went, I've always wanted to do that. And so he comes in on a Monday morning during my busy season. Now he wouldn't do it during my busy season because he's a classy employee. He does it during the slow time. So he comes in and he says, hey, you know, Bob, he says, I hate this, and you've been good to me, Bob, and I love your dealership, but I found out that they're looking for hunting guides in Montreal, and I want to try it. And I'm going to say, you should. Go do it, right? But I want you to understand something, Jim. If it doesn't work out, you always have a spot here. Okay? So if it doesn't work out, I don't want you to be embarrassed to come back to me. Come back. Now that spot you're in may not still be open, but I never let good employees get away from it. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to let him go live his dream, because isn't that what it's about? We should encourage people to do that. But on the same token, if he's a really good employee and he's really taking care of me and he's done well for me, do I want to lose him? If it doesn't work out, then most likely being a hunting guide in Montreal won't work out. Right? Where do I want him back at? Because if he comes back and I don't have a spot for him, who's going to have a spot for him? Well, the last person I want to have, Jim, is my who? Competition. So I tell the other thing is, now if they're bad employees and they do that during your busy season, I may tell them, don't worry, come back, but I'm not going to actually hire them back. Right? Because I'm going to do to them what they just did to me. Right? But I tell people again, I want good employees to come back. I want good employees to feel like they can come back. I want them to do it. I can't keep Jim from leaving to go after his dream because he's making a lot of money, but if Jim leaves and Jim's a service tech and he's making $60,000 a year, guess what I'll have the ability to do? Attract who? Because that's the other thing dealers tell me, Bob, it's so hard to find good service techs. You've ever heard that before? It's so hard. You just don't know, Bob. It's so hard. I go, no, it's not. It's hard because you only pay $28,000 a year for a service tech. Nobody wants that. But if you could pay $60,000 a year for a service tech, you don't have any trouble finding them. Right? Because there's a lot of shops out there that's got really good techs that are only making what? 25 or 30,000 a year. I'm going to suck them right off of those guys. I'm going to take their best of the best, and I'm going to put them in my dealership. Why? Because we got clean shops, we got good processes, and you can make a lot of what? You don't think service techs talk when they go to service training schools about what they make? Are you kidding me? Right? I tell people, my shops never have trouble finding good techs because what do the techs do? They come to us because they've heard about they can make a lot of what? A lot of money. So I tell people again, so I want the highest paid people everywhere. But to get the highest paid people, what do we have to have our dealership do? Produce what? Lots of what? How much? As long as it's not what? Illegal, immoral, unethical, or life-threatening. I tell guys in my shops, our shops in outdoor power, our average A-level techs are running 130 to 140% efficient. Swear it. Our recovery rate in our shops in outdoor power during seasons 110, 115%. Our guys are billing 10, 11, 12 hours every day in their shops because we flat rate. We're going to talk about how to do that. But I'm just telling you, there's tons of money in this business. There's tons of it. You guys walk by, leave more money on the table every year than you'll ever pick up. The dealership I was at in Belmont, Massachusetts, just on Tuesday, he does $2.5 million of business. I was in this dealership for 3 hours. He's leaving over $130,000 of money just on the floor. He's not pricing his parts out right. He's not doing the right things with his labor. He doesn't have his posted labor rate right. Right, his technicians are inefficient. They're only recovering at 64% not because they're slow. He's got good technicians. His processes, his shop is so screwed up you can't move work through it in an efficient way. As I said, you don't need any more business. You left $120,000+ last year on the floor. If we just do the same amount of business this year that we did last year, you will make an extra $120,000 of net profit. Is there a difference between net and gross?
Yes.
Which one do you want? Net. Okay. All right. So I tell people again, so we're going to talk about those things. So everything I'm talking about in here, I'm going to share with you how we do those, and we go through them. But I just want us to all agree on it. We're in business to make what? Obscene amounts of money. Now, the next thing we have to do is have a vision. So I tell my people, that's the other problem that you have in your dealership is you guys go in every day and just do basically what you did the day before. So if you're going to go into your dealership and do basically what you did the day before, and you do that all year long, where are you going to end up relative to where you were last year? About the same place. Why? Because you just did everything